President Joe Biden, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, each are using their authority to institute COVID vaccine mandates. Those who don't want to comply are pushing back, and they say they've got state law on their side. Amanda Vinicky joins us now with more. So Amanda, explain that for us.
Well, yeah, Paris, those mandates are beginning to kick in. Teachers, other school employees, as well as healthcare workers had to receive a first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine by September 19th or begin to undergo regular testing. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is sticking by an October 15th deadline for city employees. But those that don't want to get the shot or be tested, they are counting on Illinois' right of conscience law as a potential out. That law states that it is the public policy of the state of Illinois to respect and protect the right of conscience of all persons who refuse to obtain, receive, or accept, or who are engaged in the delivery of, arrangement for, or payment of health care services and medical care. The ACLU of Illinois' Amory Clafetta says that Illinois has had a version of that on the books since the 70s. It was updated then in 1998 and again in 2016.
What it's really intended to do is to shield healthcare professionals from being sued or facing, a licensing removal or something of that nature if there is a healthcare service that they don't want to provide because of a religious or a conscience-based objection.
And typically that service would be an abortion when doctors don't want to perform one. There also have been court cases of pharmacists who don't want to fill prescriptions for, say, birth control or the morning after pill. Recently, a dozen or so Nauvoo-Calusa school teachers and staff members cited the right of conscience healthcare law as a reason for refusing to get the COVID vaccine, and they don't want to be tested for COVID. One individual writing to the superintendent, they believe in their own body's power to fight COVID and that a family member's prescription drug addiction makes them averse. I am proud to be a Viking, and in no way do I want to be forced to resign or get fired for not complying to these mandates. The letter reads, for these reasons I listed and my personal convictions, I respectfully decline to get the COVID-19 vaccine or participate in your weekly COVID-19 testing, as is my right granted to me under the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act.
The majority of the people I've talked to, majority of staff members says it's discrimination, because if the vaccinated people don't have to get tested, they feel like they shouldn't get tested because vaccinated people, they can spread COVID and they can have COVID. So some of them said if the entire staff got tested, then they would get tested as well.
But Superintendent Kent Young says his attorney advises him that universal testing is not allowed under Illinois' executive order. Now, the Nauvoo-Calusa School Board recently upheld conscientious objections as a reason that staff can refuse to get the vaccine or undergo testing. Nauvoo-Calusa also on probation with the state for refusing to abide by Governor Pritzker's mask mandate.
Yeah, it is challenging in certain aspects with the staff and especially community members and parents. And, kids are always great. They were great last year. We required them to wear the mask properly, didn't have any issues. But starting last spring, people got tired of it, and there's a lot of information in social media. And so that started creating a problem.
The Illinois Fraternal Order of Police likewise looking to the Right of Conscience Act.
This law is there, and it seems to be pretty clear, and it seems to be gaining ground that this law does, in fact, apply directly to the vaccine mandates. And we really do believe there's a discrimination part of this law that will protect our members if they seek to get an exemption against the vaccines.
The ACLU's Clafetta says for workers, in this case, their patients in this scenario, to be using the law is a stretch. She says that the act was intended to look after healthcare providers.
What we're seeing now is a really unprecedented expansion or attempt to expand the protections of the law and really turning it on its head.
She envisions that in the near future, this issue could land in court.
And I think that would be up to the courts to determine how broadly to interpret this. It's also possible that in the meantime, the legislature could come back and amend the law potentially to narrow some of the terms that people are relying on to bring the law back to its original scope.
There's activity and talk about just that happening, and the legislature is set to return in late October, so lawmakers will have that opportunity. Now, as for the matter going to court, Fraternal Order of Police President Chris Southwood says that there is a, quote, very good chance that the FOP's largest local, and yes, that is Chicago, could serve as a test case. Now, the Illinois State Board of Education, meanwhile, is steadfast, responding to my request for comments on this matter with a statement saying that school personnel who decline both vaccination and testing must be excluded from the school premises. ISB says that any district that has questions about the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act should consult with their legal counsel. With that, back to you.
Amanda, I should add this happens as the local FOP, the Chicago FOP, announced today that it met with the city on that mandate and nothing really came out of that meeting. They also announced today that their former president, Dean Angelo, is in the ICU with COVID. So our wishes to Mr. Angelo for a speedy recovery. And Amanda, thank you very much.